The sun was setting on planet Karu 7. Orange light filtered through the tall trees with purple leaves. 8 Mahoran hunters moved through the forest. Their scaled bodies were perfect for sliding between trees and plants. Each hunter held a long spear with a sharp tip. Rak led the hunting group. He was the biggest Mahoran with dark green scales that shimmered when he moved. His yellow eyes scanned the forest floor for tracks. "We must return to the village before dark," Rak said, to the others. His voice was low and rough. "The human settlement is growing. They took more of our land yesterday." The hunters looked tired and angry. They had caught nothing all day. The animals they usually hunted were gone. Some had moved deeper into the forest. Others had been caught by the humans' hunting machines. "Humans use flying robots to catch food," said Tano, an older hunter with a scar across his face. "They do not hunt with honor. They do not respect the forest." At the back of the group walked Navi. She was younger and smaller than the others. Her scales were light green and had not yet hardened fully. This was her first hunt since becoming an adult in her tribe. She wanted to prove she could hunt as well as the males. Navi stopped walking when she heard a sound. It was very quiet, like a small cry for help. The other hunters kept moving, not hearing what she heard. "Wait," she called to them. "I hear something." Rak turned around, his tail swishing in annoyance. "We have no time for distractions. The village expects us back with food." "It sounds like a baby animal," Navi said. "It might be hurt." She moved toward a thick bush with sharp thorns. Using her knife, she carefully cut away some branches. Behind the bush was a small hole in the ground. Inside the hole was a baby Krellick. Krellicks were the most feared animals on Karu 7. They had 6 legs, black fur, and 4 eyes. They could run faster than any Mahoran. Their teeth could bite through metal. Even the humans with their advanced weapons were careful around Krellicks. But this baby Krellick was not scary. It was small, about the size of Navi's arm. Its black fur was wet with blood. One of its legs was twisted in a bad way. All 4 of its eyes looked dull with pain. Rak came to stand beside Navi. He looked at the baby Krellick without emotion. "Leave it," he said. "It is weak. Its mother abandoned it because it could not keep up." Navi felt something stir inside her. On their home planet, before they came to Karu 7, Mahorans had hunted animals like Krellicks for many generations. But they had always respected these animals for their strength and intelligence. Seeing a baby predator left to die slowly made her feel bad. "We could take it back to the village," she suggested. "The healer might fix its leg." Rak's face showed anger. The spines on his back stood up straight. "And waste our medicine on an animal that would kill you when it grows up?" he asked. "That is foolish thinking, Navi. Weak creatures die. That is the way of all worlds." The other hunters agreed with Rak. They started walking again, leaving the baby Krellick in its hole. Navi stayed behind, looking at the suffering animal. She remembered the stories her grandmother told her when she was small. Stories about the old days when Mahorans lived in balance with nature, when they took only what they needed from the forest and respected all life. "Things change," her grandmother would say with sadness. "We lost our way when we lost our home." The Mahorans had come to Karu 7 50 years ago. Their own planet was dying, poisoned by industries they had built. They found Karu 7 and thought they could start again. But then humans arrived 10 years ago. With their ships and machines, they claimed the best parts of the planet for themselves. Now the Mahorans were being pushed into smaller and smaller areas. Food was harder to find. The old ways were being forgotten. "Navi," Rak called from ahead. "Do not fall behind." She looked once more at the baby Krellick. Its breathing was shallow. It would probably die during the night, or something else would find it and eat it alive. With a heavy heart, Navi turned and followed her hunting group. But as they walked back to the village, a plan began to form in her mind. That night, the village was quiet. The failed hunt meant no celebration, no feast. Families ate from their stored food and worried about tomorrow. Navi waited in her small hut until the moons were high in the sky. Then she took her bag, a few medical supplies, and slipped out into the darkness. The forest was different at night. Strange sounds came from all directions. Glowing insects flew between trees. Navi moved quickly but carefully. She remembered exactly where the hunting party had found the baby Krellick. When she reached the thorn bush, she was surprised to find the baby still alive. It made a small noise when it saw her, too weak to be afraid. "Do not worry, little hunter," Navi said softly. "I will not hurt you." She wrapped the baby Krellick in soft leaves and placed it in her bag. Its body was hot with fever. The broken leg looked worse now, with swelling around the break. Navi knew the Mahoran healer would not help a Krellick, but there were others on this planet who might. The human settlement was 5 miles away. Navi had never been close to it before. Mahorans were forbidden to approach the high metal fence that surrounded the human buildings. But she had heard stories about human medicine, how they could fix terrible injuries and cure deadly diseases. "This is dangerous," she whispered to herself as she started walking toward the human settlement. "Rack would call me a traitor." But something stronger than fear pushed her forward, a feeling that what she was doing was right. The baby Krellick shifted in her bag, its breathing growing weaker. "No one should die like this," Navi said, repeating words her grandmother once spoke. "Not even an enemy." The first lights of the human settlement appeared through the trees. Tall buildings with glowing windows, flying machines moving in the air above them. Navi took a deep breath and moved toward the light, knowing there was no turning back now. The smallest Mahoran hunter had made a choice that would change everything on Karu 7. A choice based not on strength or power, but on something the humans called compassion. Dr. Taewon Kim wiped sweat from his face as he worked in his small lab at the edge of the human settlement. The air was hot and sticky. Even with the cooling machine running, the room felt like a steam bath. After 3 years on planet Karu 7, he still was not used to the heat. Taiwan was the animal expert for the human colony. His job was to study the strange creatures that lived on this planet and figure out which ones might be dangerous to humans. He also loved learning about new animals and plants before they disappeared as the human settlement grew larger. "Sample, number 57, he said into his voice recorder. "Plant sap from the red trees in the eastern forest. Causes skin rash on contact. Possible use as medicine if processed correctly." The door to his lab opened with a soft hiss. A woman walked in carrying 2 cups of hot coffee. Her name was Hana, and she was the doctor for the human colony. Her black hair was tied back, and her uniform was clean despite the muddy paths outside. "Yuao. Missed dinner again," Hana said, putting 1 coffee cup on his desk. "Do you ever eat?" Taewon smiled. "I forgot the time. These plant samples are very interesting. Some of them fight back against our weed killers." Hana sat on the edge of his. "The Director Park wants your report about the eastern forest by tomorrow morning. They plan to cut down those trees next month to plant food crops." Taewon's smile disappeared. "That forest is Mahoran hunting ground. Our agreement says they have the right to use that area for 6 more months." "Agreements change," Hana said, with a shrug. "The colony needs more farmland. The Mahorans will have to adjust." Before Taewon could argue, a loud beeping sound came from his computer. He tapped the screen to see what was happening. "Something set off the fence alarm in Section 7, he said. "Let me check the cameras." The screen showed a night vision view of the tall fence that surrounded the human settlement. A figure was moving along the fence. It was not the shape of a human. It was taller, thinner, with a long tail. "That's a Mahoran," Hana said, leaning closer to see the screen. "They never come near the fence at night." The Mahoran seemed to be carrying something in a bag. It moved with purpose, heading straight for the small medical building near the fence. "This could be trouble," Taewon said, grabbing his emergency kit. "I should go check." "I'm coming with you," Hana said, already walking to the door. "If there's a problem, you might need a doctor." They hurried through the quiet settlement. Most people were in their homes for the night. The only light came from the street lamps and the 2 moons in the sky. When they reached the medical building, they found the security robot had stopped the intruder. It was a female Mahoran, smaller than most Taiwan had seen before. She held a bag made of leaves against her chest and looked afraid, but determined. I am Navi, she said in simple human language. I bring hurt one. Humans have good medicine. Please help. Taiwan moved closer, curious. The Mahoran slowly opened her bag. Inside was a baby Krellick. Its black fur was dirty with dried blood. One of its 6 legs was badly broken. Its 4 eyes were half closed in pain. It barely moved. A Krellick cub, Taiwan said in surprise. Why would you bring this here? Krellicks hunt Mahorans in the wild. The Mahoran named Navi looked at him with large yellow eyes. No one should die like this, she said softly. Not even enemy. Taiwan and Hana looked at each other. They had been told that Mahorans were simple tribal hunters who cared only about their own kind. But here was one risking her safety to save a creature that would normally be her enemy. We'll help, Taiwan decided, but you need to tell us everything you know about Krellicks. We've never treated one before. Hana looked worried. The director won't approve of this. We're not supposed to bring wild animals into the settlement, especially not predators. Then we won't tell him, Taiwan said. He turned to the security. Robot. No report, medical emergency. Override code Kim 73. The robot's lights blinked as it accepted the command. Override accepted. No report filed. They brought the baby Krellick into the small medical building. Hana quickly set up a table with bright lights and medical tools. Taiwan helped Navi place the injured animal on the table. How long has it been like this? Hana asked as she examined the broken leg. 1 day, Navi replied. Found during hunt. Others wanted to leave it. But you came back for it, Taiwan said. Why? Navi's scales changed color slightly, showing emotion. My people once respected all life. Now we forget old ways. Too much fighting for land, for food. Too much anger. Hana gave the baby Krellick an injection to help with pain. This leg needs surgery? The bone is completely broken. Can you fix it? Navi asked. I think so, Hana said. But I need to know more about Krellick bodies, how they heal, what medicines are safe for them. Navi stepped forward. I will help. Mahorans hunt Krellick for many generations. We know their bodies, their weaknesses. For the next 3 hours, they worked together to save the baby predator. Navi explained that Krellicks had 2 hearts and thick bones that could heal quickly with the right care. Hana used her medical skills to set the broken leg. Taiwan made notes about everything they learned. As morning approached, the baby Krellick was sleeping peacefully. Its leg was in a special cast, and medicines were helping it fight infection. It will live, Hana said, washing her hands. But what do we do with it now? We can't keep a Krellick in the settlement. When it grows up, it could be very dangerous. And I cannot take it to my village, Navi added. My people would kill it immediately. Taiwan looked thoughtful. We could keep it here for now, in this building. It's far enough from the main settlement that no one comes here often. We can study it, learn from it. If Director Park finds out, we'll all be in trouble, Hana warned. Then we make sure he doesn't find out, Taiwan replied. He turned to Navi. Can you come back tomorrow night? We'll need your help to care for it. Navi nodded. I will come, but must be careful. My people do not trust humans. And humans do not trust Mahorans, Taiwan said with a sad smile. Yet, here we are, working together. As the first light of morning appeared in the sky, Navi prepared to leave. She looked at the sleeping Krellick one more time. It needs a name, Taiwan suggested. Navi thought for a moment. In your language, Jin, she said, means treasure in old Mahoran stories. Something valuable found when not looking. Jinnit, Trusy Hana agreed. Now go quickly before someone sees you. As Navi slipped away into the forest, Taiwan watched her go. Something important had happened this night. 3 different species from 3 different worlds had come together. A Mahoran hunter, a human doctor, and a Krellick predator. No one dies like this, he repeated Navi's words quietly. Not a bad rule to live by. What none of them realized was that this small act of kindness would soon change the future of the entire planet. For 7 days, Taiwan and Hana worked to save the baby Krellick. Each night, Navi came to the small medical building at the edge of the human settlement. She brought plants from the forest that helped reduce the Krellick's fever. She shared knowledge about Krellick behavior that was not in any human book. On the 8th day, Jin the Krellick cub opened all 4 of its eyes for the first time since its rescue. It looked around the room, seeing the strange mix of beings that had saved its life. "The fever is gone," Hana said, checking the small screen that monitored Jin's body heat. "And look at the broken leg. The bone is healing twice as fast as I expected." Taewon nodded. "Krellicks are amazing animals. Their bodies can repair damage that would kill most creatures." Navi sat quietly in the corner of the room. She had not slept much in the past week. Her tribe thought she was spending nights hunting alone. If they knew she was helping humans, they would see it as betrayal. "Why do humans and Mahorans fight?" Taewon asked her. "We both came to this planet looking for a new home. We could help each other." Navi's yellow eyes looked sad. First, humans seemed friendly, offered tools, medicine, then took more land each season, said Mahorans must live in smaller areas, said we could not hunt in best forests. "I didn't know that," Taewon said. "The colony leaders told us Mahorans prefer to stay separate." "Not true," Navi said. "My grandfather tried to make peace, went to human leaders with gifts, never came back." Hana looked up from checking Jin's leg. "What do you mean, never came back?" "Disappeared," Navi said simply. "Many Mahorans who get too close to humans disappear. So now we stay away, stay in our lands. But our lands get smaller each season." Taewon felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He had been on Karu 7 for 3 years, but he realized he knew very little about what happened between the colony leaders and the native Mahorans. "There's something else you should know," he said. "The colony is planning to cut down the eastern forest next week for new farm fields." Navi stood up suddenly. Her scales changed color with emotion. "Eastern forest is our main hunting ground. Our agreement says it is ours for 6 more months." "I know," Taewon said. "I tried to tell Director Park, but he says the colony needs more food production." Jin made a small noise from the medical table. The Krellick cub seemed to sense the tension in the room. Hana gently stroked its black fur. "We need to focus on Jin for now," she said. "One problem at a time." For the next hour, they worked together to change Jin's bandages and give it food. The cub was getting stronger every day. It could now stand on its 5 good legs. The 6th leg, the one that had been broken, was still healing in its cast. As they worked, Taewon noticed something interesting. Jin watched Navi's every move, with its 4 eyes. When the Mahoran spoke, the Krellick's ears turned toward her. "I think Jin is bonding with you," Taewon told Navi. "It sees you as its parent." Navi seemed surprised. "Krellics are enemies of Mahorans. They hunt us in the wild, but you saved this one," Hana pointed out. "Baby animals bond with whoever cares for them, no matter the species." Taewon had an idea. "Navi, try calling Jin to you." Navi made a soft clicking sound with her tongue. Immediately, Jin tried to move toward her. Its 5 good legs scrambled. "On the smooth table." "Amazing," Taewon said. "It responds to you better than to us." "This could be important," Hana said, her voice excited. "If a Mahoran can communicate with a Krellick, could change how we see these animals." Navi finished the thought. "My people think Krellicks are just killers with no mind. But Jin understands. Jin learns." Taewon sat down at his computer. "I need to document this. It could change everything we know about the creatures on this planet." As he typed notes, Hana helped Jin down from the table. The Krellick cub moved slowly around the room, sniffing everything. When it came to Navi, it made a purring sound and leaned against her leg. "If Jin can bond with a Mahoran and Mahorans can work with humans," Hana said slowly, "then maybe there's hope for all 3 species to live together on this planet." Taewon looked up from his computer. "But first we need to stop the destruction of the eastern forest. That could start a war between humans and Mahorans." Navi picked up Jin gently. The cub was now the size of a small dog. "My people prepare for fight already. Warriors make weapons. Say humans break too many promises." "We need to talk to Director Park," Taewon decided. "Show him what we've learned. Make him understand that cooperation is better than conflict. Hana shook her head. He won't listen. He cares about colony production numbers, not alien cultures. Then we go above him, Taewon said. Send a message to Earth. The Colonial Protection Act says native species must be protected. Message take too long, Navi said. Forest be gone before answer comes. They sat in silence, each thinking about the problem. Jin sensed the mood and made a small worried sound. Maybe we don't need to convince Director Park, Hana said finally. Maybe we need to convince everyone else. What do you mean? Taewon asked. The other colonists, the scientists, the doctors, the engineers, people who came here to build something good, not just take resources. Navi looked interested. How? Many humans would listen? More than you think, Hana replied. Many of us care about this planet and its creatures. We just haven't seen what's really happening. Taewon's face lit up with understanding. A demonstration. We show them, Jin. We show them how three species can work together. Would be dangerous for me, Navi said. For all Mahorans. Yes, Taewon admitted. But sometimes we must take risks for what is right. Jin made a small jumping motion as if agreeing. One of its back legs hit a tray of medical tools, sending them crashing to the floor. The loud noise triggered the building's security system. Red lights began flashing and an alarm sounded. Someone will come to check, Hana said, looking worried. If they find Navi and Jin here, no time to hide, Taewon said. We must face this now. The door to the medical building slid open. A security officer stood there, weapon in hand. Behind him was Director Park, the leader of the human colony. Director Park's eyes widened as he took in the scene. A human doctor, a human scientist, a Mahoran, and a baby Krellick all in one room, working together. What is the meaning of this, he demanded. Taewon stepped forward. Director Park, there's something you need to see. Just then, Jin limped over to stand between the humans and the Mahoran. The small predator looked at the newcomers, then back at its three caretakers. It made a soft sound, not of fear or anger, but of confusion, as if asking why everyone couldn't just get along. In that moment, something changed. A door opened that had been closed for too long. Director Park stood in the doorway of the medical building, his face showing both shock and anger. The security officer beside him had his weapon raised, not sure what to do about the strange group in front of him. Lower your weapon, Director Park ordered after a long moment. The officer obeyed but kept his hand near his gun. Jin, the baby Krellick, moved closer to Navi as if seeking protection. All four of its eyes watched the newcomers carefully. Dr. Kim, Dr. Lee, Director Park said, looking at Taewon and Hana, you have exactly 1 minute to explain why you have brought dangerous aliens into our settlement. Taewon stepped forward. Director, this is Navi, a Mahoran hunter, and this is Jin, a Krellick cub we rescued together. They are not dangerous. They are helping us learn about the life on this planet. Mahorans are tribal primitives who refuse to cooperate with our colony, Director Park said coldly. And Krellicks are predators that have killed 3 of our people. Both are threats, not partners. Navi's scales darkened with emotion, but she stayed quiet. Jean seemed to sense her feelings and made a soft growling sound. Hana moved to stand beside Taewon. Sir, what you've been told about Mahorans isn't true. They tried to work with us. We pushed them away. And Krellicks are intelligent creatures capable of bonding with other species. We have proof. Director Park crossed his arms. Show me. Navi made a soft clicking sound with her tongue. Immediately, Jin moved to her side and sat down, looking up at her with all 4 eyes. Jin, bring the medicine box, Navi said in simple, human language. The Krellick cub limped across the room to a small box on a low shelf. It carefully picked up the box with its front legs and brought it back to Navi. Director Park's eyes widened slightly. It obeys commands. Not just commands, Taewon explained. Jin understands relationships. Watch. He took a small ball from his pocket and rolled it to Hana. Hana, give this to Navi. Hana passed the ball to Navi. Then Taiwan turned to Jin. Jin, who has the ball? The Krellick looked directly at Navi. It could be coincidence, Director Park said, but he sounded less certain. It's not, Hana replied. We've been documenting Jin's learning for a week. Krellicks are as smart as Earth dogs, maybe smarter, and they can form bonds with both humans and Mahorans. Which means, Taiwan added, the three species on this planet could work together instead of fighting, if we tried to understand each other instead of competing for land. Director Park was quiet for a moment. This is more interesting research, but it doesn't change our plans. The eastern forest will be cleared next week. The colony needs that land. The eastern forest is Mahoran territory by our agreement, Taiwan argued. Taking it will cause war. Navi finally spoke. My people prepare for fight already. Many will die, human and Mahoran. Then your people should stand down, Director Park said firmly. You cannot win against our technology. We cannot back down, Navi replied. Without hunting grounds we starve. Better to die fighting. Jin made a distressed noise, sensing the tension in the room. The Krellick cub moved between Navi and Director Park, looking back and forth as if trying to understand why they couldn't get along. Hana knelt down beside Jin. This is what we're trying to show you, Director. Even natural enemies can learn to live together. Why can't we? Before Director Park could answer, his communication device beeped. He looked at the screen and frowned. Security alert at the main gate. Multiple Mahorans approaching the settlement. Navi looked surprised. My people would not attack at night. They're not attacking, the security officer reported, looking at his own device. They're just standing there. About 30 of them. I need to see this, Director Park said. He pointed at Navi and Jin. Bring them too. Keep them under guard. They all went outside. A small vehicle took them to the main gate of the human settlement. There, as reported, about 30 Mahorans stood in a half circle. They carried no weapons. At the front of the group was a large male with dark green scales. Rock, Navi whispered to Taiwan. Leader of my hunting party. Rock stepped forward when he saw Navi. Return our hunter, he called in human language. She not prisoner. Director Park looked at Navi. You're their hunter? Why were you in our settlement? Before Navi could answer, Jin pushed past the humans and limped toward the gate. The Krellick cub stopped at the barrier separating the two groups and made a loud chirping sound. The Mahorans reacted with surprise, many stepping back. Rock's eyes widened as he recognized the young predator. The cub lives, he said, moving closer to the gate. You healed it? Navi walked to stand beside Jin. Humans helped. They have good medicine. Good hearts. Rock looked confused. But humans take our lands, break promises. Director Park stepped forward. We take what we need to survive, just as you do. There is another way, Taiwan said, addressing both leaders. A way where no one needs to fight or starve. For the next hour, as the twin moons of Karu 7 moved across the night sky, Taiwan and Hana explained what they had learned. How Jin had formed bonds with both species. How Mahoran knowledge of native plants combined with human medical science had saved the Krellick cub. How the three species each had strengths that could help the others. Mahorans know this planet better than we ever will, Taiwan told Director Park. They can show us which plants heal and which poison. They can teach us how to hunt the local animals without destroying entire species. And humans have medicine, technology, Navi said to Rock. Things that could help our children live longer, healthier lives. Jin moved back and forth between the two groups, sometimes sitting near the humans, sometimes near the Mahorans. The Krellick cub seemed to understand its role as a bridge between worlds. What about the eastern forest? Rock asked finally. We need those hunting grounds. Director Park frowned. And we need farmland to feed our people. Maybe we need both, Hana suggested. What if we farmed only part of the forest? And what if Mahorans helped protect our farms from wild animals in exchange for some of the food? A partnership, Taiwan said. Instead of enemies, we become allies. Director Park looked thoughtful. The colony directors on Earth would need to approve any formal agreement. Then we make temporary peace, Rack suggested. Try working together. Show Earth leaders it is good for everyone. Slowly, cautiously, the two leaders moved closer to the gate separating them. Director Park pressed a button and the gate slid open. For the first time in years, Mahorans entered the human settlement without fear. Jin limped over to where Taewon stood watching. The Krellic cub made a soft purring sound, as if pleased with what it saw. "No one dies like this," Taewon said, quietly, remembering Navi's words from a week ago. Not a Krellic cub, not a Mahoran hunter, not a human colonist. As the first light of dawn appeared on the horizon, humans and Mahorans began to talk like neighbors instead of enemies. All because a small Mahoran hunter refused to let a predator's cub die alone, and a human said, "We'll help." It was just the beginning. There would be challenges ahead, disagreements and setbacks. But for the first time since humans arrived on Karu 7, there was hope for a different future. A future built on cooperation instead of conflict. And watching, it all was Jin, the young Krellic who belonged to both worlds and neither, a living bridge between species that were meant to be enemies but chose another path. 3 years had passed since the night when a Mahoran hunter brought a dying Krellic cub to the human settlement. Many things had changed on planet Karu 7. In the center of what was once the Eastern Forest stood the Shared Knowledge Center. The building was unlike any other on the planet. Half was built with human technology, with clean white walls and glass windows. The other half was made in the Mahoran style, using local wood and stone shaped to match the curves of the natural world. Taewon walked through the main hall, watching as humans and Mahorans worked side by side. Some studied plants in the laboratory, others made maps of the planet's changing weather patterns. A group of younger humans and Mahorans sat in a circle learning each other's languages. "Dr. Kim," called a voice from behind him. "The visitors from Earth have arrived." Taewon turned to see Hana walking toward him. She now wore the badge of the settlement's chief medical officer. Her face showed more lines than 3 years ago, signs of hard work and responsibility. "Where are they?" Taewon asked. "In the eastern fields," Hana replied. "Director Park is showing them the new farming method." They walked together out of the building and toward the fields. Part of the eastern forest had been cleared for farming, but not all of it. Instead of cutting down every tree, the humans had created smaller fields between groups of trees. This way, the forest animals still had places to live, and the Mahorans could still hunt. In the largest field, Director Park was speaking to 5 people who had just arrived from Earth. They wore the formal uniforms of the Earth Colonial Office. "As you can see," Director Park was saying, "the Mahoran method of companion planting has increased our crop yields by 40%. They showed us which local plants keep away insects when grown beside our Earth crops." The Earth officials looked impressed. One woman was taking notes on a small computer. "And the locals actually help with the farming?" she asked. "The Mahorans are not just locals," Director Park corrected her politely. "They are our partners. They help protect the crops from wild animals. In return, they receive a share of the harvest." Taewon smiled to himself. Director Park had changed greatly in 3 years. From seeing Mahorans as primitive threats, he had become a strong supporter of the partnership between species. As they approached the group, Taewon heard a familiar sound. A series of clicks and low calls came from the edge of the forest. Then, a large shape moved out from among the trees. Jin had grown from a small cub into a full adult Krellic. His black fur shone in the sunlight, and all 6 of his powerful legs moved with fluid grace. His 4 eyes, 2 large ones in front and 2 smaller ones on the sides of his head, scanned the area carefully. The officials from Earth stepped back, in alarm. "A Krellic!" one man gasped. "Aren't they dangerous predators?" "Jin is our friend," Taewon explained. "He was the first bridge between our species." Walking beside Jin was Navi. The Mahoran hunter had also changed. She now wore a mix of traditional Mahoran clothing and items made by humans. Around her neck hung a small device that helped translate her speech into perfect human language. "The patrol of the eastern border is complete," Navi reported to Director Park. Jin found tracks of wild Krelliks near the river. They are staying within the agreed hunting grounds. Thank you, Navi, Director Park said. Please meet our visitors from Earth. They are here to evaluate our partnership program. The Earth officials looked nervously at Jin. The adult Krellik was larger than an Earth tiger, with teeth that could easily crush bone. But Jin made no threatening moves. He sat down beside Navi, watching the newcomers with intelligent eyes. Is it safe? One woman asked. Jin has been working with us for 3 years, Hana explained. He helps track wild Krelliks and keeps them away from both human and Mahoran settlements. But Krelliks are predators, an official insisted. They hunt by instinct. Navi stepped forward. Jin is more than instinct. Jin learns, Jin chooses. Just as humans choose to be more than simple earth animals. Just as Mahorans choose to be more than hunters. One of the Earth officials, an older man with gray hair, looked thoughtful. The reports we received mentioned that you've been teaching Krelliks to communicate. Yes, Taewon said with pride. Jin can understand about 200 words in human language and 300 in Mahoran. He can respond to complex commands and even make simple choices using symbol cards. To demonstrate, he held up 3 cards with different pictures. Jin, which area should we check tomorrow? The river, the mountains, or the valley? Jin looked at the cards carefully, then touched the one showing mountains with his front leg. Amazing, the gray-haired official said. And there are others like him? 6 young Krelliks are in training now, Navi explained. They were rescued as cubs like Jin. Wild adult Krelliks cannot be trained, but they do seem to follow Jin's lead. They avoid human areas now. The officials spent the rest of the day touring the settlement and the Mahoran village nearby. They saw the medical center where humans treated both species. They visited the school where Mahoran and human children learned together. As evening approached, everyone gathered in the central area between the 2 communities. Tables were set up with food from both cultures. Music played, some from earth instruments and some from Mahoran singing bowls. Taewon found a quiet spot away from the crowd. He watched as humans and Mahorans shared food, talked, and even danced together. Near the edge of the celebration, Jin lay resting while several human and Mahoran children sat near him, not afraid of the huge predator. Hana came to stand beside Taewon. The Earth officials seem impressed, she said. I think they'll approve the permanent partnership agreement. 3 years ago, I wouldn't have believed this was possible, Taewon admitted. 2 different species from 2 different worlds, working together instead of fighting. 3 species, Navi corrected, joining them. Do not forget Jin. They watched. As Jin got up and moved toward the forest edge, he stopped and looked back at them as if saying goodbye. Where is he going? Hana asked. Wild Krelliks were seen near the North Ridge, Navi explained. Jin goes to them sometimes. I think he teaches them in his own way. A bridge between worlds, Taewon said softly. As darkness fell, the 3 friends stood together, watching Jin disappear into the forest. Each remembered that night 3 years ago, when a small act of compassion changed the future of an entire planet. To think, Hana said, all of this happened because you wouldn't let a cub die alone. Navi's scale shifted color in the firelight. And because a human said, we'll help. Taewon smiled. In a universe full of different worlds and different species, perhaps that was the most important lesson. No one dies like this. Not alone. Not without help. Not without hope. From that simple beginning, a new way of living had grown. Not perfect, not without challenges, but full of possibility. A legacy that would continue long after they were gone. Above them, the twin moons of Karu 7 shone down on a world being transformed not by conflict, but by cooperation. By 3 different species who had chosen to see beyond their differences and find a better way forward, together. The end.